Hey, thanks for tuning in to That Husband Podcast with me, Black Newborn. On today's episode, we have Hungani Ndlovu, and we speak about the state of mental health among men in South Africa. Not only that, but he dives deep into sharing his own experience psychologically and emotionally, how him and his wife dealt with their miscarriage. Lastly, he walks us through navigating what emotional strength looks like for him as a husband. All of this on today's episode. Hey, what's up? Welcome to That Husband Podcast with me, Black Newborn. Here we are husbands who aren't where we want to be, but certainly are not where we used to be. We are imperfect, always failing forward, trying to know better so that we can do better. Hey, what's up? Welcome to That Husband Podcast with me, Black Newborn. This is where husbands try to know better so that we can do better. And the husband that's sitting across the table from me today is none other. In fact, this dude does not need an introduction on these internet streets because he always lays it bare. Mr. Uncut himself. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Hungani Ndlovu to That Husband Podcast. What's up, brother?
Oh, man. Thank you so much for having me.
Good. Thanks, man. Appreciate you.
Easy.
Thank you for pulling through. This is great.
It's been a long time coming. If only you guys knew.
If only they knew. But man, thanks for that, bro. Thanks for being patient with me as well.
Real chat is you're patient with me. So really, really appreciate it.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
No, I appreciate this, brother. We obviously gonna get into the chat and where it started. But before we get there, we compiling this resource for husbands who are struggling, husbands who feel alone, husbands who don't have a community around them.
Sure.
And so we obviously want to speak about husbands who want to know better so that they can do better, husbands who are showing up, husbands who are faithful, failing forward.
Yeah.
They're not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but dudes who really just want to take accountability, love their wives, be there. So sometimes we speak of these guys as fictional characters,
Right.
So we want to just write down these names, make this a resource to give to dudes who are alone, struggling, and even dudes who want to be husbands in the future,
Sure.
to say, hey, there's actually brothers who are out there. They're real. They have stories. They're not fictional characters, and especially I think for black guys, right? I was telling a friend of mine that I know at least more than 20 white guys who are married for more than 20 years. And it's hard to even find 5 black guys that I know personally in my community, my life, who've been married for more than 20, 30 years. Right? And so I think this is also just to say, as we change that narrative, let's record it. Right? Let's not just say it, but let the records show that these husbands are there, they existed. And they're not just stats, right? So with that in mind, man, why did you get married, and who's the husband that's getting the honor of going into this book?
Firstly, I think the book is a great idea.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, shout out to you guys for that. Why did I get married?
Sounds like a Tyler Perry movie
title.
Title.
To be honest with you, why not get married?
Yeah.
I think if anything, it was something that I grew up wanting and longing to do. It wasn't like I had a epiphany or a moment where I spoke to X and they were like, yo, dude, this is a thing to do, right? Yeah. I always knew I was going to get married, and I think that's just based on how I was raised. Christian home, both parents still together, loving family, church, born again, so I think marriage was definitely a milestone to take for me personally.
Sure. Yeah.
And I think a lot of influence definitely came from seeing like my mom and my dad's relationship, because I, in a way, was raised as an only child, because like my sister went to boarding school very early on and stuff. And also
older sister.
Yeah. We have like a big age gap. She's 8 years older than me.
Sure.
So even by the time I was like in primary, she was already in high school, and she was brought to Joburg for high school whilst we were still in Polokwane. And then, so we saw each other, but we never like grew up together. So it felt like I was an only child to some degree. So I was always with my parents.
Sure.
So seeing that like relationship and I guess the idea of marriage was like, yeah, I also want that one day. So by the time I got to the age of like adulting, you know, you start making decisions like, yo, like, are we like dating or like we just like dating?
What is this?
You know, like are we serious? Because then you have to ask certain questions, you know, about family, finances, career paths, and all of that type of stuff, so that you can make sure that you're aligned and you're not spending time with someone who doesn't want to have children, but you want to have children, and you know, all those type of things. So I think by the time I got to that age, which wasn't like, it's the age now.
Yeah.
Like it just felt like I need to start asking these questions.
Yeah.
And it just so happened that when I met my wife, then my, I guess, person I was interested in, she was also at that stage where it was like, yo, I'm trying to, so if that's you, then cool, let's have these conversations. But if not, then hi, boy, bye. And I was like, nah, girl, hi, because I'm here for this. And I would say the husband that definitely like modeled marriage, especially if I can say marriage from a Christian perspective, for me, again, it's so funny, but I'll just call him by his name, was Ndlovu. That's my dad.
You just got a virtual punch. Don't enjoy that.
And I know he's probably watching this, so shout out. My parents watch everything I do.
That's great,
like,
bro.
Everything I do. Like everything I do.
You don't have to watch the status.
Everything I do.
It's WhatsApp status. You don't have to watch this. They're like, now we.
And I appreciate it. You know, like they've honestly shown like a great amount of support, and I'm super grateful. I think like my dad really did a number on me when it just came to seeing him be a husband. It's so funny because like I recently saw this thing where it was the psychologist or psychotherapist, I forget, was talking about like how do you know, and obviously like there's metrics and whatever to this thing, but she was basically saying like, how do you know that a child is going to like make something of themselves from a young age? And she said you have to look at how happy and content the mother is.
Wow.
So then I started to be like, you gotta explain that, you know. And then she gave an example of like a single mom. You know, a single mom like has to deal with so much.
100.
So the level of happiness and contentment within her life, we can like really debunk, and you'll see that, oh my gosh, there's actually like the scale is tipping on many different levels. But if you have a mother who is in a good relationship, good household, all of those things, happy, content with life, and she's doing her career, she's like, you get the imagery. And I was like, damn. Because then I thought of all like my single parent friends, and I was like, man, like, yes, they're doing something with their lives, but there's a certain aspect of their lives where they're always like, man, my mom. And I was like, wow.
100, bro.
So now coming back to Ndlovu,
shout out.
He did a great thing in being a husband to my mother, which allowed me to see how to treat my wife. And I mean, like growing up, obviously, like your parents will do certain things, like not want you to see them quarrel and all of that type of stuff. So you also then have an ideology of, oh my gosh, marriage is like happily ever after, you know, until you get into marriage, and then you're like, damn, ain't it the honeymoon phase? What's going on, y'all?
What is this? I didn't sign up for this.
You know? But then because now you're at that age where you're doing the more serious things, now it opens a door for someone like my father to be like, cool, now we can have these conversations. So because of X, Y, and Z, this is how me and your mother did things. This is how I did things. But at this point, certain things were happening at this point. And then now I go back and I'm like, oh, that's why that happened. Oh, that's why that happened. So then I see how you protected me as your child, but also how you protected my mom towards me and how you protected yourself towards me. So then now I also get to see how to be a father to my child.
Come on, bro.
You know, and within that, there's aspects where obviously I can myself improve and say, okay, I want to change that a little bit. I want to change that. But there's a lot that I've definitely would say I saw and appreciate and value from Matthews Ndlovu.
Shout outs, man.
Yeah.
Bro, that's dope. And it's part of my passion for why I do the content I do, is to have more kids have stories like that.
Yeah.
You know, part of... so two things to respond to that, because I think you really dropped some gems there.
Sure.
One, my own personal story. You know, dad was there till I was 15. Reason why I wanted to get married. You know, and when he bounced at 15, obviously that left a scar. There's still a scar that still hurts, etc., etc. Right. But most kids with that, and how intimately my dad was involved, you know. So this dude was my hero. Wanted to be like him in every respect, spiritually, you know, career-wise, how he was a leader in community, how he loved my mom, how he cared for us, you know, and came from very humble beginnings, you know. So it wasn't like popped out and this dude had everything figured out, right? Yeah. But saw him literally hustling, because my parents were babies as well when they had me. Mom is 15, dad is 20. Woo. He had just finished matric, so he's like supposed to go do his first year, and now he has a kid, right? Most dudes would be like, I deuces, I'm out, right? But he stuck around, and for the first 15 years of my life, I'd never had any other family members, friends who had fathers. Right. Sure. I was just the only one with a dad. And obviously then I'd seen that this is other people's realities, but it's not mine. Yeah. And he's having earnest and real conversations with me about dads who are present, right? And obviously when the switch happens, like I'm left with a major scar. Some dudes would probably freak out, act out, you know, end up, you know, hating marriage, whatever. But all that to say is part of the reason why I make this content, because I'm like, I was even motivated more to get married at that point, right? To also rewrite that part of his and my relationship. Right? Sure. So I'm like, I was keen to get married because of him, and I saw how he loved my mom. When he left, I was like determined even more, right? That I'm gonna stick around, I'm gonna love my family. And obviously he's not the primary reason, and you don't want to act from, you know, a scar, because scars only carry you this much, right? But obviously when I gave my life to the Lord, you know, that became the biggest motivation for why I want to get married and still stay married. So it's for me, just hearing, I know a couple of dudes in my life, and by couple, two right now that I can think of, who actually still have, who have a relationship with their fathers, whose fathers are still married to their moms. You know, they still come from, two-parent households who are married, happily so. Because again, there's marriages that where you question the quality of the thing. You're like, you have duration,
married, but they don't even stay in the same house,
bro. And it's weird when you're 60. Right? I'm like, if you're like 25 and you're fighting, now 60-year-olds who sleep in two like separate bedrooms, I'm like, what are we doing? What are we doing, right? And I think it just pains more, and it just feels like, shucks, like something that might have started so well ends so devastatingly. But so with the two-parent household thing, and I wanted to comment on that, just even how you carry yourself, and observing you from a distance, right? And now knowing that about you, I'm like, two-parent household kids are very stable in comparison, right? We live in a broken and fallen world, so you're gonna have your own mess and the stuff, you know, that you struggles that you're gonna deal with like any other human. Sure. But in comparison, you guys tend to be more stable, right? You tend to, I think, move with a certain confidence that we don't have. Sure. And I've always been fascinated by that until, still fascinated by it. But recently, I think what added to that thinking for me was an interview I saw by Steve Stout. Okay. He was interviewed by Shannon, and he spoke about the time he lived with Kobe Bryant. And so he sees Kobe's 18 at this point, just got signed to the Lakers, crazy discipline.
Yeah.
He's like waking up at 4 a.m., going to the gym, spending the rest of the day just looking at Michael Jordan tapes, right? Michael Jordan moving left for 3 hours. He's just like, this is how he moves left, right? Moves left for another 3 hours, right? Another 3 hours, right?
Yeah.
So Steve is just like, this kid's discipline is insane. And I mean, at that point, Steve is like, he's like a very well-known producer, he's produced for Nas, he's produced, he's done stuff with Will Smith, etc., etc. So he's big, right? But he's impressed by this kid's discipline, and so he asks Kobe, like, when you get on the court and you find dudes who come from single-parent households, they come on the court with a different energy because they pissed off at their dads, they want to look after their mothers, they can't go back to poverty, so they working extra hard, right? And even when they play, they have ghosts and demons that are chasing them that two-parent household kids don't have. So then Steve is like, how do you deal with that? And so Kobe's like, yeah, I mean, that's right, they have all of that and they bring that to the court, and we see it, but when they come against the real thing, they fail, right? And so Steve is like, who's the real thing? He's like, me, Michael Jordan, Magic Johnson, two-parent households. Right? The thing we have is a foundation they'll never have.
Sure.
Right? So they can come with all that energy and anger.
Yeah.
But the thing, we've been launched from a solid foundation.
Yeah.
Right? When he said that, man, I bawled, bro. And I was like, the chance for single parent household kids to succeed and be something in life, for dudes to become husbands who will show up and do better and love and be faithful, with no example of a dad, a husband, right? With a mother who had to carry everything. I'm like, man, the only other basketball player who's done what these guys have done and surpassed, and that's another conversation, is LeBron.
Yeah.
LeBron came from a single parent household, and he's worked with extra discipline. He came against the real thing and he survived. And so I'm like, the rest of us have to be LeBron, man.
and I think that's the thing, man. It's like, it's not that you can't do it. It's just it's a lot more challenging.
It is. It is.
And it's just so unfortunate that the society we live in today, on like a global scale, is so tipped when it comes to both parents being together and not either co-parenting or whatever the situation might be, So it's such a man. Like when you were speaking about that Kobe story, now I thought of a friend of mine, and I won't expose your nakedness, bro. It's okay. Who came to me and he was like, so he's married. I think he's about 2 or 3 years in now. In marriage, and they're ready to. Well, his wife is ready to start a family.
Sure.
And he didn't grow up with a father at all. Doesn't know his dad at all. At all.
Yeah.
And he was just like, bro, I don't know. Like, I don't even know where to start. Like, I don't know. And we met up and I was just like, it's fine. I also didn't know.
Yeah.
Just because I had a father don't mean I knew what was going to happen when the baby arrives. I found myself, and this is what I was saying to him, I'm like, I found myself going to like bookstores looking for books. That's why I'm like, this is dope, this book thing.
Thanks, bro.
Because I was looking for books on fathering.
Sure.
I kid you not, I didn't find any. And I was just like, father to be books? Oh, nothing? Okay, cool.
Wow.
Mother to be, gazillion.
Tons. Parenting.
Gazillion. But even with parenting, like the perspective is far and few in between from the father. And I was just, needless I say, a black father. And I was just like, man, I don't know.
Sure.
So even with him, I was just like, you'll figure it out.
Yeah, man.
And I guess then it becomes a thing of how well do you figure it out to be a LeBron or not?
Exactly. I remember coming back home first day with our daughter. I mean, we didn't say this to each other until like months later. But I think when we both walked out of the hospital, we were both thinking, like, somebody has to stop us because we don't know what we're doing. some adults with brains cannot let us
Yeah.
get in the car with a human,
Yeah.
right? When we got home, obviously, my wife is tired, and so I'm sitting with my baby. I'm looking at her. The first thought that came to my mind was, I get why my dad left.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and I get it, because
Wow.
I have to keep you alive. I have to look after you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, maybe the dude snapped, man.
And honestly speaking, it's a real thing.
Yeah.
It's a real thing.
Yeah.
I had a conversation. Man, you're bringing up so many things. I had a conversation with a group of guys, and we were just having a chat. And
Yeah.
I was like, sometimes we think like, and I'm not justifying anything,
Yeah.
just to be clear, but sometimes we think that like, oh, he left because there was a this, or there was a that, or there was a this.
Yeah.
He could have left because the pressure was just too much, and he didn't
bro.
know how to move.
Yeah.
And he literally, based on his upbringing,
hundreds, bro.
there was a whole bunch of areas where he felt inadequate and he was going to fail, is what he thought.
Yeah.
So I might as well fail at the beginning.
Yeah.
I don't need to stick around to see myself fail.
Yeah.
I'm going to just hand in the test paper with my name, and I'm not filling out any question.
Yeah. Hundreds, bro.
And I was like,
Hundreds.
that's why we have to deal with the psychology of the man.
Man, bro. Yeah.
Because
1,000.
genuinely, like, I've never driven so slow in my life. Yeah. When we were driving from the hospital, I think I was driving like 25 kilometers an hour.
Yeah.
Even my wife was like, baby,
Yeah,
when are we
please.
going to get home? Like, hey, that thing is crazy.
I think it's insane, bro.
Yeah, no, it's a wild journey, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's wild,
It's a
man.
wild journey.
I saw a video you did with your wife.
Which one? We do so many.
On the miscarriage.
Oh, yeah.
And you address that,
Yeah.
how you, in the process of all of that, you were trying to speak.
Yeah.
And she wasn't trying to.
Nah, she wasn't having it at all.
Yeah. And how long did that last?
Man.
And how did you navigate that? Because I mean, like, she's going through something.
Yo, that was hard, man.
Next level.
That was hard. I don't know how long it took, but it felt like it took forever.
Sure.
Because I was overripe. I was the avocado you needed to have like days ago. And she was like completely, I think, like, the brain is such an amazing thing, if I can call it a thing, because it completely protected her from that experience and shut out everything regarding that experience.
Sheesh.
So in a way, she was like numb to the experience. So even like bringing it up, like there was no, like I couldn't tell what she was feeling, even when she'd be like, no, I don't want to talk about it. Like I couldn't tell, like she's not okay also, or like, okay, maybe she is okay, but she just doesn't want to talk now. Like I couldn't tell. So yeah, it took quite a while.
What is that doing to you emotionally?
It like took me further into my hole.
Okay.
Because sometimes I then think that maybe I did something and she doesn't want to tell me, like maybe I'm at fault here. Like because I'm also a person that like thinks a lot, overthinker. So
You have to play all these characters.
yeah, so now I'm like thinking a million things, trying to figure out what she's going through because she's not telling me. And I'm also, as much as I'm feeling the things that I'm feeling, I also want to support you and be here for you and hold your hand through this. But I don't even know if you want me to hold your hand because maybe you don't. But maybe you do, and maybe I'm just supposed to know that supernaturally. So let me just hold your hand, and then you let go. So, okay, damn, I'm not supposed to.
Yeah.
But now I don't know if that upsets you or not. So it just became a whole thing. But it was, I think it was a challenge that we needed at that time. Hence, it showed itself because the way in which we deal with things today is so far different to then. And I think that being such a traumatic experience for us allowed us to, as much as it was very difficult in the beginning, but it allowed us to be very raw with each other.
Yeah.
Because by the time we did get to speak, I was here. So by the time we got to speak, I was vomiting things out. Like,
bro.
I was spewing. And it really, it really allowed us to grow in that space. But it felt like it took forever. But I'm sure maybe it was like maybe 2 or 3 months. But it felt like.
How do you deal with that as a man, husband? You know, obviously. Hey, sorry to interrupt your viewing. We will shortly get back to that episode because obviously there's a lot of dopeness in there, right? But before we go back there, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Don't forget to hit the notification bell so that you're updated on all the episodes that we are dropping, right? Here's the thing. There's a lot of value. There's a lot of gems. There's a lot of dopeness that comes out of this. What do we want to do? We want to bless you with more dopeness, give you more gems, right? And with that, check out what's coming out next week.
Because you walk into a rape crisis center, you're not going to see men or boys posters in that center.
Sure.
So what are we saying to the 38%, I stand to be corrected, but the 38% of boys who are sexually abused by the time they're 18 in our country?
Sure.
We're saying you don't have a place to go to.
Yeah. How do you deal with that as a man, husband? You know, obviously the woman carries the kid. There's a lot that's happening to her body. Her mind is changing, and you know, having to suffer loss is hectic. You know, I remember because I was in the room when my wife gave birth. So she did a water birth, and that's probably the closest I've been to God. And thinking that I saw God's face, because I was just like, this is some divine stuff on you know, another level.
Yeah, it's like superhero stuff.
Yeah. Obviously, as a guy, like we such punks sometimes, you know. I'm like,
man, we are nothing, bro.
Yeah.
We are gone with the wind.
Yes.
We are like, when you can understand what a woman can do,
bro,
you will never, ever,
yeah,
no matter how hard you try, no matter how science-fy,
no, forget it.
you will never be able to do what a woman can do.
Nah, bro, nah,
and create.
Yeah. I was having conversations with Goku in my head. I'm like, Goku, which Super Saiyan level is this? Because I watched Dragon Ball Z. You never taught me this.
It's a whole other level.
I do not know what kind of maybe my child is a Dragon Ball herself, and this is what this Saiyan. I don't know what's
you got
going
Pikachu
on,
right there, bro.
So I'm like, for you to, I see that, you know, and she's given birth. Your wife loses the child. What are you thinking as a what does that do to you as a husband?
It's the most difficult thing to explain because physically nothing has happened to me. But emotionally and psychologically a lot has happened. But then you also have the difficulty of, am I fully justified in how I feel because of the fact that she's gone through the physical loss? So, and again, going back to how she was dealing with it in the beginning, it's like, if she's saying that she's okay, why am I here bawling out my eyes every single day?
Sure.
Who the heck do I think I am, having not carried and lost, but I'm here waking up? You sure you don't want to talk? Bro, she went through the damn thing. So, but what we forget is that you've also lost.
Yeah, man.
You had the expectation, and psychologically you start to go through the things of I'm going to be a father
Yeah.
and a whole bunch of different things. And for us, we were taking our time with just like talking about the pregnancy and stuff like that, being in the spotlight and all of that. So we're keeping it a secret and whatnot. But I think it was the day or the day before we found out, we had gone to the shops and we were like, no, let's just buy a vest. And we went to the shops and we're looking, and then I chose the vest. And I was like, I just bought my baby like their first outfit.
Sure, bro. Sure.
And then not even like 48 hours later,
Shucks, bro.
there is no baby. So psychologically and emotionally, it's very, and till this day, like I struggle to explain that journey or that thing, what it feels like. And but it's there, it's real. You know, I think for me, the biggest challenge was how to process it, having not gone through it, but also how do I allow myself to go through it, because I can feel it. So yeah, it was like a tug between actually allowing myself to feel the things that I'm feeling versus not, because it was very real, but at the same time I was like, yeah, but really, because I also like our miscarriage was like, I mean, I don't know if they're all dramatic, but it was dramatic, man. We were at home and like things were going down, having to rush to the ER, and there's, you know, tomato sauce everywhere, you know, and you just like, it's a lot.
Yeah, my wife was just like, you went in there, didn't even think twice about towels, and
you know,
just went in.
It was a lot. So yeah, I think like even just seeing her go through pain and there's nothing you can do about it, it's like, then why am I even here? Like, I can physically see you curl up into a ball. You're in so much pain you can't even scream. And all I'm here to do is rub your back and put a microwavable heat pack on your back. That's the best contribution I have. And not taking away the fact that does give some form of assistance. But when you're on the outside,
you want to do more, man.
Exactly. You literally, I wanted to take that pain away. I wanted to like put it here.
Yeah. You want it to be Jesus.
Yeah. You know? and yeah, like it was honestly, it was the hardest thing ever, because I felt so inadequate. I felt so out of my depth. I felt genuinely like, bro, you are genuinely useless, because what have you done to help this situation?
Sure. Yeah.
Nothing.
It's insane, bro.
Nothing at all, you know. It got to the point where eventually she was like, call my mom. Even just like hearing that, like, as much as I understand, like every one of us, if you ever get to a certain level of discomfort, pain, whatever, you want mommy there, you know? So I understood that. But a part of me was like, damn, so I am not enough.
Yeah. What does that do to me as a husband? Like, took your daughter, and I have to call you for assistance.
You know? So like it was a lot, man. It was a lot. But afterwards you realize that it actually wasn't about you, bro.
Come on now.
It really wasn't about you. You were going through your own stuff. That's why you were having those thoughts.
Yeah.
Because you were in your own world of grief and mourning. That was a whole other experience that you catered to the best way you possibly could. There was nothing else you could have done. When she said, I need this, and you brought it, that was good enough. When you went to the garage and brought the ice, that was good enough, you know. So, but in the heat of the moment, damn, you're just like,
bro,
man, I'm so sorry I can't do more.
Sheesh, man.
It's like, I'm another burden.
You
know. But yeah, I think for the man, especially the invested, involved, intentional, present husband, father, it's more on a psychological and emotional level, far beyond anything that one can imagine. Because till this day, I'm just like, oh man, what if we never lost that baby?
Sure.
But you'll never know.
That's tough, bro.
You know.
I was actually reading just the stats when it comes to mental health for men.
Down the drain,
bro. Apparently, we, depending on which study you read, we either at the bottom 3 of countries in the world, right, where mental health is just nowhere, or we part of the top 10, and I don't know where we rank in the top 10.
Sure.
But either way, right, whether you go for top 10 or bottom, it's just bad.
Yeah.
And I think, was it last year? I think this article I was reading said, I think out of 100,000 people, so 23.5% committed suicide. So it's like 13,774. And out of that number, 10,361 were dudes.
Yeah. We have one of the highest male suicide rates in the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm like feeling, to the point you made earlier on, about, me coming back home, seeing my daughter, thinking this is why my dad left, and then saying, hey, there might actually be reasons that this dude is feeling pressure, to your own experience, where you feeling like just useless, man, bringing ice packs and rubbing your back, Thank God you stayed.
Yeah.
Thank God you didn't, bail out. And worse, you didn't take your life, you know. And you obviously work with dudes who are probably at the brink of that, There might be a dude who's watching now. What do you say to that guy, bro? With all that he's going through, and he's close to be part of that 10,000.
Reach out. Reach out. That's literally the only way, because we're so good at hiding how we actually feel that if you don't reach out, even the person who's most closest to you could not even know that this is how you feel. And in reaching out, it's not to say that reach out to your family or your friend or this. Reach out to someone who has the possibility of holding your hand. And if they don't, it's okay. Reach out to somebody else.
Sure.
Even if it means reach out to a stranger. Because sometimes even the people who we think from a close proximity level can hold our hands are going through their own thing, that when you now bring up your thing, it tips their scale even more. So they're afraid to hold your hand. So it's an understanding that just because Hungani didn't want to hold your hand doesn't mean you're validated in how you feel to go to the cliff. Maybe Hungani realized that if he holds your hand and he didn't know how to communicate that he would be out of capacity and he wouldn't be able to hold your hand effectively. But he doesn't know how to communicate that. So instead, he just mised you. Because why? He's close to his own cliff.
Yeah.
Which he hasn't told you about.
Sucks, man.
So sometimes it's not just reaching out once to one person. That's why I'm like, reach out. It's like when you send a CV.
Sure.
You're not just going to send it to one place and then sit and wait.
Yeah.
No, you're going to send it to a whole bunch of places and hope one of them calls you back. And that's how we reach out, Sometimes you reach out to the companies where okay, I've got a cousin there, I've got a friend there, you reach out there first.
Sure.
Then none of them respond, or they say, no, we're not looking right now. then you start to reach out to the ones that you just found on the classified version of the newspaper or the
third
jobs,
page of
you
Google.
know, and then that's where you find assistance. So reach out, and I think sometimes we think we're alone a lot of the time in whatever we're going through. I mean, even in our miscarriage story, us releasing it on YouTube was like, at first we thought we might not even do that because it was just such a thing, like close and thingy story to us, or experience. But eventually we got to the point where through research and the gynae and all of this stuff, we found out that miscarriages are so common.
Very common, bro.
It happens to 80% of women.
Sure, yeah.
That's way too common for us not to talk about it. And for us to feel the way we feel, 80%? So when we spoke about it, I had my aunts calling me.
Sure.
Like, yo, I had 4 miscarriages. Oh, hey! What?
We're having different conversations at the bride next time.
Exactly.
Right?
You know, so it opened up a whole new door for people who are in my family, in my friend circle group, in her family, her friend circle groups, to start talking about this thing that happened years ago or that happened just the other year. And you're just like, why didn't you say anything before?
Sure.
You know, we don't talk about these things. It's
Don't
just,
bother each other.
you know. So reach out.
Sure.
Reach out.
Dope, man.
It goes a long way. It goes a long way because you're not alone.
Yeah.
And just because someone doesn't hold your hand doesn't mean that they don't want to. They just don't have the capacity.
Man, yeah.
Because it's a lot, man. Even like the work that we do, I get moments where I'm like, guys, I'm off.
Yeah.
Don't call me. Speak to those guys.
Can't be the face today.
I need a break. Because it gets hectic, bro.
No,
You have people who come in
can imagine,
who are basically the ashtray for their mother.
Sure.
You see it on their body. You just like, how?
Sure, bro.
Your own mom?
Yeah.
I don't even know what to say.
Yeah. How do you even start with that, bro?
You know, so it gets so hectic, man. People are going through. Hey, I know, Shem. Men.
Sure. No, man.
There's so much, man. So yeah, I would just say reach out. You're not alone. You're never alone. You know, even if you're not a Liverpool supporter. I don't even watch soccer like that, but
that's me, bro. I was wondering who Liverpool is married to. I don't know who that is. But, I don't watch. So, bro, as we come to the end, man, you know, I was thinking about just how we as men tend to bounce back after pregnancy very slow compared to women, and bounce back into marriage, bounce back into being a husband, right? Because both of you obviously are now parents, came together, husband and wife, you doing your own thing, fall pregnant as a kid. Her body changes, you know, your mind, emotions are changing, her mind, emotions are changing, blah, 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 gives birth.
Did you know, sorry to cut you, did you know that a woman's brain physically changes? That to me was the wildest thing.
Yeah, it does,
if
bro.
that's not superhero, like...
It does, bro.
Yeah.
So shout outs to my doctor friends. It's not me, right? So, but it obviously she then has to deal with all the physical changes and all of the stuff, and you dealing with emotional, psychological changes.
Yeah.
But at least in my experience and chats and my own reading, it seems that women tend to then come back quickly to being wives, and we take a long time. You know, I remember even for me, it was like, okay, I'm a dad now, it's fine, you know, but like, how do I do this husband thing again, you know? And I'm not consciously thinking like that. It's only in hindsight I was like, oh, that was my thought process. I was trying to figure out, you know, it's like having a kid now. I mean, our kid didn't sleep in our bed, but now I have to remember not to crush her while I'm still trying to love my wife, you know? And it just feels like in every area of my life, that's what I'm doing, because now there's an extra human, and how do I then, you know, hang out with my wife? How do I hang out with my girlfriend again? Now we have a human, right? But in your case, you moved from miscarriage. How long did it take for you guys to have your kid now?
I'd say maybe close to a year after the
Okay.
miscarriage.
How did you bounce back from that, bro? Because you're bouncing back from miscarriage. You have a kid.
I think what helped us was we didn't have an easy pregnancy
Okay.
to birth.
Okay.
So that process was also filled with a lot of like trauma from the miscarriage and not wanting it to happen again. So like it brought us very close.
Sure.
And like, yeah, we were like checking in like every day.
Still.
So by the time Rue arrived, it was like, okay, we made it. She's healthy. Mommy's healthy. Daddy's healthy. Oh, we got to celebrate. So that process of having the difficult pregnancy or not so easy pregnancy didn't give me the chance or opportunity to fall too far away from husbanding because I was so concerned about my wife's well-being.
Wow.
So even when Rue was there, I was always like first checking in on my wife, like, yo, you good? All right, cool. Oh, no, I'll take care of it. Don't worry. I was just checking you. Okay, cool. You don't need anything? Okay, cool.
Dope.
So that, yeah. But then once we got into the groove of things, then it was like, I need to go to work. Then that became the thing of how do we prioritize our life?
Yeah.
Are we prioritizing work first, then family, then God? Or is it God first, then family, then work? Like, how are we prioritizing our life? And that was the challenging part for me because I found so much, not validation, but purpose. There we go. Found so much purpose in investing so much of my time in work because I felt like my wife's not working. She's at home. She's recovering. She's resting. She's with our baby. So I got to be outside, making sure that I'm taking care of what's inside, And once I realized that I'm outside too much, and now it's causing my wife to be like, yo, when last did we check in?
Not.
And I was like, oh, snap. My bad. Yeah. Let me just quickly send that email. I'm coming. And because I work from home as well, the office is in the yard. It's like I'm not really gone. I'm here, but So like after realizing those things, then it was like, all right, cool. Now we gotta prioritize better, and then understanding and certain things change because now you prioritize your life a lot different. But even that wasn't like a too far left experience because again, me and my wife work together. So a lot of the time I was like, yo, I'm going to continue this, but I need you in like an hour. And then she'll come through. We work 45 minutes an hour. Then she bounces.
Sure.
So we just had to get to the point where it was like, cool, we're not hanging out at work. we're not co-workers like that. So we just need to make time for ourselves. Yeah, it's not that. Yeah, but it wasn't a too far left experience for us because of how close we needed each other during our second pregnancy.
Sure.
Yeah. Like it was, we were terrified, man. Like it was so crazy. Like even for my wife, like we had to like make sure that she stays calm because like stress, anxiety, which are all things that are not great for the baby.
Yeah.
So now it's like, okay, you're stressed, you're anxious. We know that that's not good for the baby.
Sure.
Now we're stressed about
But
that.
that-
It's like,
Bro,
how do we?
and already your emotions live here.
Hey, my man, you're like, you need to calm down right now.
Yeah.
You know,
Sheesh.
I'll be stressed
Yeah.
for us. So yeah. So I think because of that, like it really like brought us close.
Yeah.
And yeah, man, whatever she needed, I was like, anytime of
dope,
the
bro.
day, like let's you say it, it's coming. You know, so yeah.
It's dope, man.
Yeah.
No, I really appreciate that, bro. Really appreciate your time, man. Really
Thanks for
appreciate
having
you
me, man.
sharing your story. You know, being vulnerable. Tswana, a friend of mine, says there's no word in Tswana for vulnerability. So anyway, when he said that, somebody came back and gave him the word.
Is there
yeah.
word? Nah, I don't think so, man. I don't. I think there might be a word that alludes to it,
to what it is.
but
in
damn.
Xitsonga,
I don't think there's in Tsonga. I don't think so.
No.
I mean, I could be wrong. Yo, if you're Tsonga and your vocab is up there,
Let me know.
let us know in the comments. Bro. The actual synonym for men don't speak is men aren't vulnerable.
Yes.
Because even when I'm speaking to my boys, I'm speaking to my boys from the perspective of I want my boy to support me in whatever I'm saying.
Sure.
So if me and my wife are having a situation, I'm not going to put it out all clear.
Yeah.
Because I want my boy to be like, yeah, dog, no, you're right.
Yeah,
You're right.
sure.
You should do this.
Sure.